welcome to your practice. You will need some props, so if you have anything like a bolster or bricks, grab those. Cushions or pillows from your bed will do just fine though. So we're going to be holding the poses for a longer length of time because that's how we're going to effectively reduce stress and soothe our nervous system. I do appreciate though that a lot of you will be struggling with anxiety as well. So we will be doing like a little short flow just to kind of move that anxious energy out of our bodies so we can be more present and be in stillness more comfortably. So we're actually going to start in a child's pose. Now you can take any variation of a child's pose you like. You can take some support if you'd like to, or you can just do it without any props. So I like to take my knees nice and wide in a child's pose. It just gives me that extra space for my body. I don't like to feel very compressed. Just reaching the arms forwards, or if you prefer, you can take the arms back and then bring your upper body and head towards the ground. I really do recommend that you have your forehead touching the ground or touching a prop or something, because having that little stimulation on this point is really, really grounding, and it really helps to calm us down. So we're just going to take a few breaths here. So just settling in. Just allow your breath to ebb and flow as it naturally would, in and out through the nose. Just taking a few moments to notice how you're feeling today. Just notice what your stress levels are currently like, whether you're feeling anxious, whether you're calm. And then we're going to move to diaphragmatic breathing. So it's really, really simple. As you inhale, just breathe in as fully as you can so that the belly inflates like a balloon. And then exhale out through the nose or mouth, doesn't matter which. Fully empty the breath. The belly contracts. And just doing that for a few rounds of breath. Inhale. Take the breath right down into the belly. The belly bloats up like a balloon. And exhale all the air out. Just taking 3 more breaths like that. And then just allowing your breath to return to its natural rhythm. Just observing how you feel. Noticing if there's been any kind of a shift. And it's okay if there hasn't. Not everything works for every person. And then we'll make our way to all fours, coming into a tabletop position. So just bringing the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. I'm just going to take a few cat and cows. As you inhale, lift the tailbone, let the belly drop. Bring the chest forwards. As you exhale, curl the tailbone down, round up through the spine, allow the head to gently drop. And continue with your own breath at your own pace. Really see if you can sync up the movement with your breath. And just go once more in each direction. Coming back to neutral and then sitting back towards your heels. If this isn't comfortable for you, you might want to come to a kneeling position. So just lifting the bottom away from the heels. So we're going to move through a few rounds of a low salutation. So I'll talk you through the first one really slowly, and then we'll do 3 more, sped up a little bit, not loads. And we're going to try and sync our breath to our movement, and that has like a really meditative effect on our bodies. It's very, very soothing. And that's just going to help us to push that anxiety out of our bodies so that we can come to the next poses and get some soothing stillness. So either sitting onto your heels or in that kneeling position, arms come down by the sides. Wherever you are, as we inhale, we're going to lift up off the heels, raise the arms. Exhale, bring the hands down in front of you, coming into tabletop. So the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. From here, we're going to tuck the toes on the inhale. As you exhale, lift the hips and send them up and back, coming into downward facing dog. So don't worry about the shape of your down dog. We're just going to pause here for a couple of breaths and just stretch out through the backs of the legs. So dropping one heel towards the ground, bending the other knee. Just for this first one. Come into stillness. As you inhale, going to drop the knees, coming back into that tabletop. Lift the tailbone, come into cow pose. So you got that arch through the lower back. And then as you exhale, sit the hips back towards the heels into this child's pose. Resting the head towards the ground. Inhale, start to lift the chest, slide the hands back alongside the body. And exhale. So that was just one round. We're going to go through that 3 more times. If down dog isn't really for you today, you can stay in the tabletop if you prefer and maybe just do a cat-cow instead and then pick it back up when we come back down to all fours. So just taking a breath in and a breath out to prepare. Inhale, lift the hips, raise the arms. Exhale, plant the palms tabletop. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, lift the hips up and back, down dog, or stay in your tabletop. Full round of breath here, in and out. Inhale, come forwards, drop the knees, Lift the tailbone, cow pose. Exhale, sit back towards your heels. Resting the head and the chest down. Inhale, lift the chest, slide the arms alongside the body. And exhale. Take a full breath here, in and out. Inhale, lift the hips, lift the arms. Exhale, plant the palms, come into tabletop. Inhale to tuck the toes. Exhale, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. One full breath here, in and out. Inhale as you drop the knees, tabletop, come into your cow pose. Lift that tailbone, drop the belly. And exhale as you sit back towards the heels, resting the head and chest down. Inhale, lift the chest, slide the hands alongside the body. Exhale, take a full round of breath. Last time. Inhale, lift the hips, raise the arms. Exhale, plant the hands tabletop. Inhale to tuck the toes under. Exhale, send the hips up and back. One full breath, in and out. Inhale, dropping the knees, coming into cow pose. And exhale as you sit back towards your heels, resting the head and chest down. Inhale, lift the chest, slide the hands alongside the body. Maybe you just rest the hands onto the thighs here, just taking a couple of breaths, noticing how you feel. Maybe you close the eyes if it feels safe for you to do so. Just notice if you feel any calmer, if you feel like that anxious energy has worked its way out. And if you feel like you need to repeat that, go ahead and rewind, do that again. Really take what you need from this practice. Once you've done it all the way through once, maybe the next day you just pick one pose and practice that one pose for a few minutes. Maybe that's enough for you. There really is no right or wrong. Just want you to really hone in on what works for you. Lovely. And opening the eyes back up if you had them closed. So we're going to come to a downward facing dog. We're going to use some support for this. So ideally you want your head to be resting onto something. So you could have a stack of pillows or cushions in front of you. Get yourself set up before we actually come into the shape. It's just going to make it so much easier. And then coming into your tabletop, you can tuck the toes, send the hips up and back. Just making sure your support is in the right place to support your head. And then we're just going to hold here and breathe for a couple of minutes. So maybe you come back to that diaphragmatic breathing. If it feels like too much for you today to hold a downward facing dog, then a really good alternative could be a puppy pose. So from your tabletop, walk the hands forwards and then rest your head down to the ground. It's entirely up to you. Just do what works best for you on any given day. Then you could soften the elbows a little. Bend your knees. Just allow this to be really soft. See if you could really imagine all the stress just flowing out through the top of your head. And as you're ready to, just bringing the knees back down. Sit back towards your heels. Just sit in comfortably for a couple of breaths. Just noticing how you feel. Okay. And the next pose we're going to come to is a standing forward fold. So if you have unmedicated high blood pressure, I don't really recommend this one for you. I'll show you an alternative. So to come into your forward fold, we're just going to tuck the toes under. So we come into this little squat and then lifting up. So taking the feet about hip width apart, bring your hands onto your thighs. And with your spine nice and long, this would be a good alternative if you have high blood pressure or vertigo or any kind of issue that prevents you from dangling your head down. If you're okay to proceed into the forward fold, then you could bring some support in front of you, maybe resting the arms, maybe build a bit of height up to your head and have the support underneath your forehead. I'd really recommend bending the knees deeply and then just resting your belly onto your thighs so you don't feel it intensely into the backs of the legs. So again, either resting the head onto some support. Maybe it feels nice for you to just let the head dangle. Maybe give it a gentle shake out. Kind of releasing the effects of gravity on your neck. And coming back to your breath. Maybe find that diaphragmatic breathing again. Again, just imagining all that stress and anxiety just pouring out through the top of your head. Okay, and then we're just going to come back down onto our knees. Nice and slowly. Very slowly bringing the head back up. So the next pose we're going to come to is called legs up the wall. Now, you probably notice I don't have a wall right here, but you don't necessarily need to be able to get close to a wall. So traditionally, we would, if you can imagine this is a wall, you would sit sideways up against the wall, lean back and then swing your legs up. You could use a chair, you could use your sofa, a bed, or another option for you would be to place something underneath your hips, so supporting the pelvis, and then lying back, and then from here just floating the legs up. So you can have a little play and see which variation you like the most. I personally really love legs up the sofa. So just finding yourself in this position. Again, if you have vertigo or any kind of high or low blood pressure, you might just want to set your hips on the ground and not raise them like I have. And once you're settled, just closing down the eyes. So not only is this really soothing for the nervous system and great for calming us down, it's a fantastic pose if you have restless legs. Just really rejuvenates and refreshes our legs and the blood flow. We're just letting it go in the opposite direction. So if you've ever sort of been in bed and you're just nodding off and then legs start twitching, it really is worth spending a couple of minutes in this position. You don't even have to get out of bed. Just swing your legs up the wall. As I said before, maybe you just choose to practice one particular pose per day. It's your practice and you practice your way, in a way that serves you and your body. If you start to feel some tingling, like pins and needles sensation in the legs and feet, try not to panic, it's perfectly normal. Everything will return back to normal. And then to come out, just very slowly come out the way you went in. Maybe drawing the knees into the chest, rolling to one side, or if you have your hips raised like I have, place the feet down on the ground first, and you can just press into the feet to move your support out of the way. And then we're going to come to our final relaxation. So you can take your Shavasana any way you choose to. That might be lying on your back, might be lying on your side or your front, whatever is the most relaxing for you. Maybe you grab lots of cushions and pillows, support your body where you need it. Maybe beneath the knees, maybe a pillow for your head. Just get yourself really, really comfy. And then closing down the eyes. Just allowing your breath to return to its natural rhythm. I'm actually going to leave you here to enjoy this relaxation for as long as you can. You might want to put on a guided relaxation or meditation. Spend a little bit longer here.